Hello everybody, it's Tommy and welcome back to another speed build for the Disney Save. Today we are continuing with the Black Cauldron things and I am making Taran's cottage. Taran is the main character from the Black Cauldron, but this is technically Dallben's cottage, which is the old wise wizard character that he lives with. If I had called it Dallben's cottage, I have a feeling a lot of you would not immediately recognize it. Dallben is not a huge Disney character by any means. He only has a few moments in the film at the very beginning and you actually never see him again. And Taran and Dallben are actually not related. They mention as much in the film. They are living together as like an apprenticeships type situation. So Taran lives here as a pig keeper to help Dallben out around the farm. And on Disney Wiki, this cottage is noted to be more of a farm than it is just the cottage itself. But when they are in the film, they're not really traditional sort of farmers. They're more just animal keepers and ranch hands. And they only ever show Henwen and her cottage and her little barn area. And I don't believe any other animals are actually shown. Now, I did want to make sure that Henwen's area was included as well. And I'm obviously working on a little bit of a tight space here. As you can see, we have a fairly large cottage for all intents and purposes. And at the same time, I did want to include some of those farm elements, but I felt like it wasn't necessary to go crazy with it because they only specifically are really seen tending to animals. So I wanted to make sure Henwen's cottage was included. I wanted to make sure that this was a pretty accurate representation of the one that is shown in the movie. And in the film, the cottage is actually quite large, which I found to be really interesting because you can tell when you go to the interior that they are supposed to be in a stuffy little cottage, very confined, low ceilings, lots of clutter around. Making the space feel small on the inside would help to make it look more accurate to the film. But the exterior, the cottage itself, is very long and it actually looks really big. I was building it and I put 2 levels on it and my husband was kind of sitting behind me and he was like, that cottage is not 2 levels tall. And I showed him the pictures and the windows and started going through it with him and he realized that I was totally right. But in his head, I'm sure that what he was thinking is like, how could there possibly be that much space to this cottage considering sort of the conditions that they live under and how old this place is? It's almost like a really, really nice cottage considering that they are sort of simple farmers. And I wasn't going to be able to build it 100% accurately according to the positioning of where Henwen's barn is in comparison to the main cottage because the lot itself just doesn't provide me enough space to do so. But I knew that if I could build the main cottage structure and then move it a little bit in one direction or another, then I would be able to use that extra space to add some additional animal keeping things. And I ended up including more things than just space for Henwen. So some of you are immediately going to be wondering how I'm even including Henwen, and I'm going to include her as a dog. This is something I have done sort of in the past with Pua. Pua lives over on the Moana lot and is a small breed dog. And I believe I took the base of some pig that someone had uploaded to the gallery and then just recolored and altered it from there to make it and shape it to be a little bit more specifically like Pua. And I did a similar sort of thing for Henwen. It's unfortunate that we don't have pigs, but I don't ever really foresee them adding it unless it comes in like another random farming or cottage pack that we get down the line. But we have had that theme quite a few times now that I feel like the opportunity to have added those things is already gone and past. So we will probably be stuck with the dog pigs for the inevitable future, but I'm okay with it. I actually think they turn out pretty cute. They're not terrible looking. She's really cute. She came out good, and you guys will be seeing her in the next video. It will be the creative for Taran, Dallben, Henwen, and they have a cat, believe it or not. In the movie, Dallben only calls this cat Cat, so I decided to just name him that. It's not uncommon for people to not be able to come up with names for their animals and just call them what they are, and that's a very like real life thing that I have seen over and over again, so I felt like it was a funny moment to include. So this household's gonna actually have a few animals besides Henwen and Cat. There is one more, which some of you could probably guess who it will be, but I'm going to save that until I actually get to the creative sim. Something really interesting about this cottage, it has a traditional thatched roof. So basically what this is, and I have actually seen some of these out and about in England, they still exist to this day. I'm sure there are other places in the world that they still exist as well. It's just almost difficult to imagine because it seems so old school, but there are some people who keep these types of homes for preservation purposes and really enjoy it. And I think they're really, really interesting and beautiful as well, obviously. But basically, they take materials and stacks of materials and just pile them on the roof to protect the upper parts of the structure. And so what this creates, especially with a cottage as old as the one that I'm attempting to build here, is a little bit of an unevenness in the roofing structure itself. The way that I did this was by taking the circular roof and making it different sizes and heights, and then placing it all over in little piles. And I actually think it creates a pretty convincing effect for the idea of what I'm going for without being able to manually create very, very strange roof shapes. It's a similar sort of idea. If you think about straw and hay in bundles just being put down in large or sometimes small piles, depending on the gap, and they would be different heights, or over time, maybe with rainfall and different debris and things like that, would change in heights and different structures on top, so that you have almost this bumpy, uneven sort of roof that is typically displayed in old Disney cottages as well. A different one that actually comes up off the top of my head is Mother Gothel's cottage. And this is only seen in the Tingle animated show, so this might not be one that immediately is gonna come to mind for a lot of you. But she had a similar sort of roof like that. And when I did that roof, I did it in a different way, which I was happy with at the time, but now I'm also like really into the way that this one turned out. And you can see what I mean about the cottage itself. It actually looks really big. When we go inside, some of the spaces will feel very large and then others will not. And I took a lot of time trying to section off the interior and really cut the spaces into smaller rooms so that it felt more condensed on the inside. And that included doing things such as adding a bathroom to the interior of the cottage. It is more likely that this would be an outhouse type of situation. And we had an event for The Sims recently that they added a outhouse object finally into the game. Very exciting for me because I am commonly making spaces where I create my own outhouses, and I hate doing it. I think they always look a little bit funky, especially because if I use like a tall wall height for the first level and then I want to make an outhouse on that same level, the game is going to make me use that same wall height. So they always look a little tall. It depends on what I'm building. But all in all, very exciting to have that outhouse item. However, as I've mentioned to you guys a few times recently, it has come to my attention at some point that they basically made it so if you don't participate in these events as they are actively going on and you don't claim those items, you can never get those items. The idea in the beginning was that you would be able to pass them through the gallery no matter what. So if you are out of town or not really playing The Sims at that moment, or something happens to your computer, or whatever your reasoning is that you cannot actively participate in these events, you would not be able to see the items physically in your list of items. But if you downloaded a build off of the gallery with the item included already, it would not delete because it's basically considered a base game item. However, this is not true, and I've tested it. It was, I guess, believed amongst the community in the beginning that this was true, and I actually was complaining about this on Twitter because I said that as a save file creator and as a prominent builder, not like prominent in the community, but prominent in that is the only thing that I really do for the game, I did not feel like this was an appropriate move for The Sims to be doing, because The Sims 4 has an entire network of things where we share with one another. And if you don't own all of the packs, the gallery flags it that way. So you know, oh, I don't own this pack and this pack. And if you are somebody who hasn't purchased a lot of the packs, when you go on the gallery, you know that a lot of the things that you're going to be downloading off of that, you're going to have a really hard time transferring identically. But if you don't participate in these events, there's never a time later on for you to be able to go back and participate in them. And so we have this entire network and this entire structure in this game where we share builds, and it's a huge part of our community. And I build a save file where I share all of this stuff, and it's a huge deal. It's like one of the core foundations of this game's structure. and they're basically taking away the ability to fully share builds and things and sims, because there's traits and cast items and all sorts of stuff that are included in these events, as they are truly meant to be, unless you are actively all the time participating in the events and on the sims. And I just find that to be not a great choice, because if you think about other games where you can actually share builds or share creations that you make, I can't think of one example where that is the case, that something is so limited time, and then if you share it, others will not be able to get it in its exact form unless they were actively there for that event. All that to say, rant aside, that outhouse piece is really useful to me, and you will see it pop up pretty frequently in builds, not in today's build because I wanted to use the space inside for an actual bathroom. But I'm also in the back of my head thinking about how if I use that item all the time and then I have so many people that never got to participate in that event, they're going to be missing a bathroom for their lots when they download my work. Whereas before, if they downloaded and they were missing other things, it's sort of replaceable, but that's like an entire structure or a whole room at that point. So I'm a little bit apprehensive to use it, which sucks. I really just want to like enjoy the pieces that they give to us. And I do ultimately think that what they should do is they can do their event, they can have everybody participate and get the items. And then at the end of the year, all of the event items are gifted in a Christmas or holiday bonus base game gift thing. As a thank you for enjoying another year of The Sims 4, here is all the stuff from this year. And it just goes to everybody's accounts in an update. I think that's the most logical thing to do here. It's also why I don't like the pre-order bonuses. I am not a fan whatsoever of pre-order bonuses. And that's going to lead me to my next thing. A lot of you have been asking about how I feel about Adventure Awaits. I'm going to be really honest. And I don't want to make anybody feel like it's not exciting. And if you are like really excited for this pack, I want you to just like enjoy that. Enjoy the idea of being excited for it. And this is absolutely nothing knocking against feeling excited for the game. Because something that I never like to do, and I think is really disruptive, is when people are excited for the pack and everyone's like complaining. I totally get those complaints, and I am personally able to separate other people's complaints or other people's feelings from my own, but some people are not able to do that, and it like ruins how they feel about it. So I just want you to know that I don't intend to be negative, and I don't want anybody to feel like I'm talking you out of purchasing this pack. There's a lot of things that are coming with Adventure Awaits that I am personally really excited about, like I think are really cool. One of them is the modular play sets. One of them is the sort of game style competitions and the Survivor style competition and the Love Island, like adding that whole aspect. There's a new lot type as well, and in the trailer that was very exciting to me. I love lot types, but I'm not going to be purchasing this pack right away at all. And here's a couple reasons why. Number one, the game is in a really bad state right now, and I'm getting so fatigued and so stressed out with all of the packs that they're adding. The amount of expansion packs we've gotten this year, I'm not even sure if it's more than in years past. I really don't know that, to be honest with you, but it feels like it is. It feels like it's been back to back to back expansion packs for like the last 6 months, and then a bunch of sprinkles of kits in the middle, which I also have not bought. And I really am getting so fatigued about the amount of content that's coming to this game, and how every single time something gets added, there is just a new wave of huge issues. I did purchase Enchanted by Nature. Fairies is huge to me, and it's huge for the Disney save, and that was an absolute no-brainer when they announced that. I knew I was getting it immediately. I knew I was doing the pre-order bonuses. I knew that anything regarding the new occult was going to be totally for me. But this one does not hit the same. I can go without this, especially for a really long time. I'm going to 100% wait for a sale, and I do not think that the pre-order bonuses this time around are interesting or unique enough to warrant purchasing outside of a sale. Like, one of the items is literally socks, guys. And if you love camping and you love Survivor and you love a lot of the themes with this, that's totally great. And it's probably going to be so fun. I am personally really nervous about how much stuff this pack looks like it's adding. All of the new structures in place, all of the new lot type, and all of the specific things that you can do with it. And the way that it almost looks like they're creating some sort of a secondary gallery, or they're going to be filtering builds off of the gallery as recommendations for placing onto that lot. If you go watch the trailer, you're going to be able to understand what I'm talking about a little bit better, but I am really nervous. Overall, I think the game's in a really bad state as far as bugs and issues go, and I just think it's too much content all at once, and not enough of what was shown in the trailer interests me. Now, like I said, I'll be purchasing it at some point, I'm sure, when it goes on sale. I want archery. I want to be able to put all of the archery things into Brave and into Horn King Castle and into other lots where it's appropriate, Mulan, but I also feel like I absolutely can wait on all of this, and we've already gotten way too much stuff this year, and I just so much would rather that the community really, really rallies behind the idea of them fixing the game. And in a sense, if we constantly purchase everything that they put out and we do not put our feet down a little bit and just maybe give it a break and not immediately pre-order everything and agree to buy everything, they're never going to take the time to properly fix it. Because in a sense, why would they? If the numbers are great and everything is rolling great and everything comes out and has a good launch, why would they take the time to fix things? It would almost seem like a secondary issue that isn't really affecting sales. So why would they be convinced to do anything about the state of the game? Now, that being said, important to note, The Sims has put out 2 very long statements on things that they're fixing. They recently put out a laundry list of stuff that they're immediately working on, and they said that there's going to be a huge update for the game on November 4th, I believe it is, which is crazy work because I'm out of town, you guys. So I'm going to be stalking Twitter and Discord and trying to hear about if anything actually looks like it's better. But basically what they're doing is, it seems as though they're announcing that they're putting a lot of time into fixing things, and they are dedicating a team of people to really work out some of the issues that a lot of people have been experiencing. And again, I just want to reiterate, and I feel like I should not have to say this every single video, but if you're one of those people that doesn't have any problems or bugs with this game, I'm good for you. Like, it doesn't need to be said, and it's really annoying when I get on social media and I see other people and they're like, I have no problems with the game. I don't know what any of you were talking about. Like, that's great for you. Then good for you. Why are you gaslighting people and then making them feel as though they are not experiencing or they're doing something wrong? It's not all mods related. This game has issues to its core. This game has issues for people who don't use mods. This game has issues on console where mods are not even available. There are problems here, and to do that and to make statements like that, like, I have never had any problems with this game, it doesn't need to be said, because then the conversation does not revolve around like you. We're talking about people that have had issues, and when you say things like that, you're almost like, if the game devs see that, then they're like, well, what is everyone whining about? There seems to be no issues. If they see enough of that discourse, then they can just blame mods and they can just blame external things and say, we don't have to fix anything because, see, there's a whole community of people that say, I don't have any problems. Like, then it just doesn't affect you. Maybe just don't insert yourself into the conversation. And if you do have problems, I really, really encourage you, all of this work that The Sims has been doing, we can at least to sort of like help out and hopefully get these things actually fixed. Go to the Sims forums and hit me too on things that are actually bugging and bothering you in your game, so that they know and they prioritize things that are actively still an issue for you. Because some of the problem is that people do not go and report their issues. They just go and complain about it on social media, and it doesn't get very far on Twitter. The Sims does not really interact with the community on Twitter anymore. Sorry about my little rant there. A lot of you have been asking about my thoughts regarding Adventure Awaits, and that's how I feel. Let me know your thoughts, although, down below. Are you going to be purchasing it? Did you like the pre-order bonuses? Are you excited for the pack? What kinds of things are you going to be doing with it? Are you going to wait for the sale like me? Are you fatigued with the amount of stuff that's come out with The Sims this year? Or are you not? Are you like, I would take all of the stuff that they endlessly give us? Because I used to feel that way. I definitely did. So I can understand that. Back more specifically to cottage related things. As you can see, on the right-hand side of the lot, that is the area that I've dedicated to the animals. I built Henwin's pen. It is a partial recreation off of the film, and it has a little bed inside of it that is a ham. She will have that area as like her sleeping quarters, even though she's a dog. I guess we'll consider her an outdoor dog or a farm dog. I did also decide to include one large barn. I don't include those for a lot of lots, even if they're farming based. Like back when I did the Good Dinosaur Farm, I didn't include any large barns on that because they didn't keep any large animals in the film. They kept like some form of chickens, but they were like prehistoric chickens, I believe, or like some equivalent of like dinosaur Jurassic chickens. They had that, but like not large animals of any kind. And I don't know if I 100% love the idea of Dallben keeping cows, but I think you can also keep something else in the barns. Is it sheep or llamas or something like that? I'm gonna look at it. I'm gonna see what makes sense for him. Maybe one cow. I don't know. Definitely leave your thoughts and opinions. I just felt like this was a really good opportunity to possibly do some animal keeping and have a character where it makes sense that he's already shown keeping some other type of animal. So to add one more would almost give this older character, especially Dallben, something to do on the lot. Because ideally Taran is going to go out on this like big adventure and that's his storyline. So he might not be here all the time, but Dallben is an old man and he almost needs something to do. He is a wizard, and that's something that I have a little bit of like a gripe with, because in the film, he really is not shown being a wizard at all. He has one line about how he can sense the fair folk and he can tell that there's like something in the air, like something is wrong. And he also knows about Henwin. He knows about her powers, but he says to Taran, I only use her powers when I absolutely have to. And he uses Henwin as the like object to control magic. And he himself is never directly seen using magic. So I thought he was not a wizard. I thought he was just like an old man that was a little bit mystical, and he knew what Henwin was and had her and was keeping her safe because of those reasons. And maybe he just is spiritual, like he knows about magical related items, but he himself is not a wizard. However, his Disney wiki, which is not always accurate, this is why I'm like, I'm a little bit, I don't know how to feel about this, says that he is the greatest magician in the land of this universe. So I decided at the last moment, especially when we go upstairs, to add some spaces in there where he could do a little bit of magic. And he is going to be a spellcaster, but I'm going to keep him at like lower levels because he's not seen using magic in the film. So in my scenario, and in my opinion, part of me is like, I should just make him not a spellcaster at all. But I think that if the Disney wiki says that he is a wizard and is like the greatest wizard, then maybe that information comes from the books. And then I didn't add any true real magical elements to this downstairs portion, like nothing for him to use in the form of being a spellcaster, because I wasn't going to make him that. And then I read all that and I ultimately made the decision that I was going to make him a spellcaster, but my caveat is that he's going to be a low like base level spellcaster. And then you can play with him, level him up, and he would be one that you could explore magic through if you wanted to. It's pretty common for me to add in high level spellcasters to the Disney save, which means that if you wanted a spellcaster that you could experience and learn magic with, there aren't a ton of options in the save file. I'm trying to even think of one right now. Dallben can serve two purposes in that way. Not only can he be a ranch hand and he can have some animal keeping that you can experience and do like the simple cottage life, little bit of medieval living, but you can also experience maybe exploring becoming a spellcaster through him and the different branches that he might pursue, because I don't really know what it would be. For the main interior of the cottage, we actually only get to see two spaces of the entire cottage. Number one is the area right through the main entryway, front door there, in front of the fireplace. They are cooking some kind of awful porridgey stew in a cauldron in the fireplace, and it is more of a very traditional, what you would think like really large forge with a cooking pot hanging above the fire in the structure, which I have replicated like some variation of, but is definitely not going to be functional in terms of cooking. So unfortunately, you do have to do the full kitchen and the full dining and everything. And so that's going to go off to the right, just outside of that main entryway, which we never get to actually see. We get to see the main entryway and then the area to the left, which is Dallben's study. And that's the area that I started with first. We do get to see quite a bit of that. And so all of that is a movie recreation. He has a little desk area and some different books and some ingredients or some types of things. But again, it's like not overwhelmingly spellcaster leaning. So I didn't create it as like this super magical space. I can also imagine that it's possible that Taran doesn't even really know that Dallben is this like high ranking spellcaster, because he never says anything to him either. And he seems very confused when he sees Dallben use Henwin in like a magical format. Taran is like shocked. So I can assume that Dallben has never actually used magic in front of him. And so maybe the upstairs area is his magical study and no one ever really goes up there, and Taran doesn't go up there. Or maybe Dallben says like, you're not allowed upstairs, like this is his house, he can make weird rules like that. So they've got this staircase tucked behind the fireplace, and the upstairs is almost, you don't need it. There's nothing up there for Taran, and it's just Dallben's magical study where he can go up there and do and craft and be a spellcaster in secret when Taran is out, or even if people come by, he wouldn't want people to immediately notice and see potions and magical items laying around. Like maybe he's a spellcaster in hiding kind of a situation. And then we have 2 bedrooms, obviously one for Dallben and Taran each. You can sort of tell right away whose is supposed to be whose, because classically I go with the color of their person, the things that they are wearing, as the color scheming for their room, unless the room is otherwise shown or they have a mention of a specific color that they enjoy, which is very, very rare. And that is Taran / Dallben's cottage from the Black Cauldron. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know all of your thoughts on everything I talked about and the cottage down below in the comments section. And if you'd like to support the Disney Save on Patreon, you can do so by clicking the link in my description box down below or the one at the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching today, and I will talk to you all in the next one.